We'd like to welcome you to BlackUSA.News morning show. My name's Donnie Glover. A lot of people don't know, but years ago at Matthew Henson Elementary School, I had a chance to host the morning announcements. I still get joked about it to this day. People like Derick Boyd and William White talking about a half a pint of milk. Sure sounds delicious. Welcome to the show, Derick Boyd, the one and only.
Good morning, Donnie. Good morning, my friend. Good morning, listeners.
So, Derick, what part of town are you from?
Where I'm from? Well, I grew up from the Sandtown community, West Baltimore and Baltimore City. More affectionately, Gilmore Projects, Gilmore Homes. Some great years coming up in that community, Donnie, as you well know. One of the things that we sense of community that we came up in. So it was controlled chaos. So I'll never forget that experience. It instilled a lot of life skills that I didn't know back then that would make me whole and the person that I've evolved into today. So that's the community which I'm from. Still try to be attached to the community as much as I can. I live in Southern Maryland now, in Prince George's County. But of course, I just have a great affection for Baltimore City.
Then you lived on Edding Street. I remember Edding Street like yesterday because, I had never heard of Edding Street before you told us you lived there.
I don't know how to take that, Donnie.
I never heard of it, but ever since, what I'm saying is I always associated Edding Street with you, your brothers. You had to be thorough to be from Edding Street.
Well, you have to be thorough to be from our community at large. We was a different breed. One of the things, Dottie, that I'm sure you relate to, and like I said, it's a lot of stuff as I evolved, I understood the magnitude of it. But we were raised by our parents to be mentally tough, to know how to persevere and overcome and keep pushing and so there was a lot of things that was instilled in us in a very early age that's still sustainable today.
And see, I lived up the hill from you at Moreland and Baker, but I sold newspapers in Sandtown. Matter of fact, my bike, the one time my bike got snatched, it was a cat in Gilmore Homes.
Mm-hmm.
And Junior Grace was named. Yeah, Junior Grace helped me get my bike back. He took me to the exact house. And I'm still trying to figure that out. Years later, how did he know where to go?
Yeah, it's just one of those things, man. There were certain things that would happen that you could narrow it down easily, clearly back then. But yeah, Donnie, you were always, you was our guy, man. You instilled professionalism in us when we didn't even know what professionalism was. This guy came to the elementary school with a briefcase. And this was our dude. We gave him the business, if you can imagine, back then in elementary school. But he stayed, he stayed true, to who he was. And that's what make our friendships over the years very unique, is that we truly, truly love each other for who we are.
But Derick, I remember back in elementary school, you were a basketball star, but you were very humble about it.
Yeah, well, I never, it was interesting, man, because I was around you guys every day. So it wasn't any star power mentality that I had. I just enjoyed playing the game when I played it, but I also enjoyed being around my friends, man. So y'all had a way of keeping me humble. If I didn't want to be, you guys kept me humble.
William White was the bully.
Yeah. We had a collection, man. William White, John McCauley, Me, you, come on, GQ.
So look, who did you first play for? Who was the first team you played for?
Wow, Donnie. The very first team that I played for that I recall was Bentlow Rec. That was organized. I started at Bentlow Rec. I went down there when I was about 6, 7 years old. And I started playing organized basketball with the late, who just passed recently, Herman Johnson. So that was my first, what I would say, organized that I recall, was playing at Bentlow Rec. He taught me the fundamentals of the game. It's a lot of things that I got from Bentlow Rec, because the area that I lived in, the recreation center, I have to give them a shout out, Lillian S. Jones, which was in Sandtown. But back then it wasn't. My oldest brother pushed me to go down Bentlow Rec because, he wanted me to compete, to play against competition that would push me, to make sure that I knew there was somebody always better than me. So I had to try to get better. So Bentlow offered that for me. It was really a competitive environment that
More
gave
so
me.
than Lillian Jones.
Yeah, I mean, not that. Yes, collectively, yes. You had talent from wall to wall at Bentlow. At Lillian Jones, we might have had like 2, 3 guys, that were guys that was respected throughout the city, for their basketball prowess. So,
But Bentlow had a system.
oh my goodness, yes. Oh yes, yes. I mean, Bentlow had an established system. They had uh, a program that was clearly producing results. We had a lot of guys come out of Bentlow, man, that were very, very, very good basketball players. So yeah, definitely more than Lillian Jones. But what Lillian Jones gave me, oddly enough, when I went down Bentlow, maybe like some other kids that maybe came down there, I didn't have no fear. I was used to, I played down Maccabees, man, every day. And for those who don't know Maccabees, that's it's a basketball court playground in the Sandtown community. That was like a melting pot. If you from Sandtown, you went to Maccabees. That's where you had to earn, you earn your reputation. You learn how to compete. You was tough. So when I went down Bentlow, man, I was a little bit maybe too raunchy for them guys, because I didn't care, man. I went down there and I wanted to know who was the best guy, and I wanted to go after the best guy, and that's just how I was raised. So I never had the fear of competing against guys who were better.
When did you know you had a gift?
I think I realized, Donnie, that I had, gift, it's kind of relative, but I could play basketball very well. Was when I had guys from all over the city. And I mean, from east to west to south to DC. It was a coach who, was trying to get me over there for the summer. When you have that kind of attention and guys trying to pull you in and come put, I was like, okay, and that's when my mother and my brothers kind of got involved and made sure that I wasn't, just all over the place and influenced by anybody, in terms of where I would play and all that. So I would say probably, honestly, Don, when I knew I was a little gifted, if that's what you want to call it, probably around 8, 9 years old.
So when did you realize being a southpaw had its advantages?
Oh my goodness, right away. My coach taught me that. Yeah, Herman Johnson taught me that. He said, so he taught me how to go right, just to go right and then shift back left. And he said, by the time they realize that you left hand, you're going to have 20 points. And that was the case. Well, it wasn't natural for a lot of kids to play a left hand, to know how to defend them. So, yeah, I had some advantages with that. I did. I had some advantages. But like anything else, Don, competition, when you playing against high level competition, they make adjustments.
So you went on to play for Walbrook, right?
That's correct. And we played against what I would say, not arguably, but I would say the greatest high school basketball team ever assembled in this country, in my opinion. Dunbar. I mean, we lost in the championship to Dunbar all 3 years for me. Well, 2 years that I had on varsity, and we played against my best friend because we went to middle school together, Reggie Lewis. We got real close in middle school.
What was it, Chickapin?
No, actually, we was at Heron Run.
Heron Run. Okay.
We had, my family and I, we moved to East Baltimore for like 2 years.
Did that take the game up a notch?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. Because you figure I played, me and Reggie Lewis were the stars on Heron Run's junior high school. We won the junior high school, middle school championship. True story. So me and Reggie Lewis, we had agreed to attend Lake Clifton together. This is a true story. So me and Reggie Lewis had committed. He was like, we're going to go to Lake Clifton. And my mom got another job with the state of Maryland and moved us back to West Baltimore. So when I told, and my mother wouldn't let me stay with Reggie's family in East Baltimore so I could stay at Lake Clifton. She wasn't having it. So I wound up, that's how I went to Walbrook. And that's how Reggie Lewis wound up at Dunbar. Now, remind you, this guy was the sixth man on Dunbar's team. He wasn't even a starter. That's how deep it was. Muggsy Bogues, Reggie Lewis, Wingate. I mean, I can go on and on and on. They was an incredible and remember, these guys, we played against them. I played against them my whole life. We competed from 6, 7, 8, all the way up through high school. And it was an incredible journey playing against them guys. And we all were close in our own way because we knew each other. We had traveling teams where we went out of town and played together. So it was just a very competitive time, man. I'll never forget those times. It was good stuff, man. Good.
I got a surprise for you.
Okay.
You know this cat here?
Yeah, I know that guy. I know that guy. That's my brother for life right there.
What's going on, Derick?
Mr. Noah, good morning. How are you, sir?
I love you, brother.
Oh man, I love you more, man. It's good to see your face, bro. Man, this good God, what, second, third grade, Donnie?
Yeah, man. Hey, it's always a pleasure. Hey, you figured Donnie Glover, right?
Oh, man. Come on, man. Hey, Herb, this guy was coming to school with briefcases for we didn't know what a briefcase was.
Hey, Derick, you forgot one thing. He was jumping out of limousines too, right?
Oh, come on, man. Every morning, man. Every morning. And look, and his pops made sure that they pull up at the main entrance.
Yeah. Hey, look, I remember Donnie Glover coming into our English class. He was in the 5th grade. We was in the 6th grade. And we was like, who's this brilliant person come walking into our classroom, underclassmen, and just showed all us up in the English class?
No, man. The guy was always sharp. He was our guy, man. Always sharp, but always had the knack. But he understood the friends that he had. So yeah. Donnie got away with a lot of stuff. We took a lot of hits for this dude back in, man. Matthew A. Henson.
Yeah.
We kept him clean, man. We kept him clean, bro.
He was well protected by the neighborhood.
Yeah, man. We kept this dude clean. That was our guy, man.
Yeah. And guess what? He continued it up in Lamel as well. You remember AD?
Yeah.
AD said nobody touches Donnie Glover.
He said nobody. Hey, look, his people got him up out of that. Look, when he got up Lamel, look, his people was like, we got to get this fool up out of here.
Yeah.
You on mute, Donnie. You on mute.
That was a German Shepherd. When did you guys realize that we grew up in an environment, minus the basketball, Easterwood, Lillian Jones? When did you guys realize that we grew up in a war zone?
Mm.
Man, that's a great question right there. Hey, you guess what? We was in it, but we didn't really feel it to the degree that they feeling it now.
Talk,
Uh,
brother. Preach.
well, you see, here's the thing. Um, Derick mentioned about his mother, getting a job with the state of Maryland and moving back to West Baltimore. Our parents, that's all they knew how to do is to work and to make sure we was in good shape.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's not like that now, but it's to the degree where middle class is just middle class. But the
Mm.
thing is, I grew up with a single pops, and he was on me pretty heavily,
Mm-hmm.
And listen, I had my share of trouble. Don't get that
Mm-hmm.
twisted.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew I had to answer to him at the end of the day. So answering to him versus answering to my friends, I chose answering to my dad. But my friends were still my friends. And listen, Don, you got to the age that you had to separate yourself, still be friends, but separate and have respect for the guys that went the other way. And God bless them
Mm-hmm.
all, man. But listen,
Mm-hmm.
they helped make me who I am today.
Mm.
Derick,
Yeah.
how significant was having a dad?
It was huge. It was like Irvin said. Like you said, when we knew, did we know we came up in the jungle? I agree with Irv. I really didn't know that because even the older guys and the guys that was out in the street or on the corner or whatever you want to call it, the hustlers back then, there was a code. We had safe passage. I never had to worry about going to the basketball court and something break off. I mean, if something was going on around the basketball court, them old guys told us, get on, wait me. And that was
Right.
the end of the story. We left. We just left. But there was there was safe passage, man. Nobody, if you had a dream and you wanted to get out and you was pursuing something, nobody stopped you from doing that. They encouraged you. I remember to use the narrative, the old guys that was on drugs and doing, dope, heavy and all that. Those guys came to my games. I remember saying, hey boy, but it was like they was proud of me more than anything. They didn't prevent us from growing. I can't blame my community or the people that I came up in the community because they were very supportive. They were very supportive of any dreams, any goals, any vision you had. So it was kind of like controlled chaos, what I like to call it back then for us. Especially for our elders and just people in the community. It was a jungle, Donnie, but it wasn't like we were unsafe. It wasn't like these guys didn't take care of us in their own way because they did. That's why what Irv said, we have so much love and respect for our brothers who got a different break, who got a different outcome, because we understand that plight. We understand that plight.
We were all just one mistake away from a totally different life.
Say it again.
Bro.
Say it again. Say it again.
We
Listen,
were
man.
all one mistake from a totally different life.
Absolutely, bro. That's it. We talk about all the time. It ain't but me and Irvin just talking about a week or so ago, and I said, but for a decision, man. It wasn't. That's why we have such an affection, and maybe from people from other communities and demographics don't understand why we have that love for our brothers who made mistakes and made decisions and had to pay the cost for those decisions. But that never made us stop loving them. We didn't judge them. We just loved them, understood that was their personal consequence. But that didn't have anything to do for my love for them. We know, unfortunately, we know a lot of brothers who've been incarcerated, who we've lost to the streets. And I tell you, man, I love all them. I got stories with them all, man. I love them. You know what I mean? I love these guys, man.
But Derick, you
yeah.
being a bit modest. Where we grew up, whether it was Gilmore Homes or Thomas Avenue or Warwick Avenue,
Mm-hmm.
which was the strip my mother told me, she said, don't go around Warwick Avenue. But in all honesty, we grew up around more cocaine, heroin than
Oh,
should have been allowed.
oh God, yes. I mean, come on, man. My family, I have no problem with talking about that. My dad was a hardcore heroin user when I was coming up. Hardcore. Um, but he was my dad. He never treated us bad. He was still home every day. He still, he was still there left. So it's like it's one of those family dynamics that, Donnie, unless you know where we're from and what we're conditioned to navigate and love no matter what. See, that's what makes us very unique as a people, is that we really truly know how to love. I'm saying that from my perspective. I really believe that. I think a lot of, and I don't want to say just us exclusively, but in our Black community, we have a love, we have an affection that most demographics can't understand. They really, really can't. How we can relate to certain scenarios, how we don't respond, we hear certain things, because we can understand certain people's plight. It's not that black and white as people would think. It's just not. It's just not. Now, the other side is, I will say, and jump out, I don't want, the other thing I just want to say real quick was, with that said, I think we've never as a community truly, truly understood our value as a community. And as a result, our communities have suffered the way they are. We should, and no knock on it, but a Vietnamese or whoever comes in our community, they don't have to get vetted before they come to our community. They just can come to our community, set up a shop on a corner store, and they don't have to donate to the James Moses Baseball League. I mean, all these things that make our community what it is, we don't hold them accountable to invest in that. And I'm telling you, because I live in a community where when a new business comes, we know about it. It's almost like, yeah, hey, we got a new business come. Make sure you introduce yourself so they understand how they got to operate in this community. You can't just come here. We're going to support your business. We're going to do all that, but you have to invest in our communities. And that's where I think we have failed as a community, because we're, as close as we are, as unique as we are, we haven't held that accountability to what comes in, what comes out, and what happens.
Hey, Donnie,
So tell me about, I'm sorry.
Hey, Donnie, you mentioned that we grew up almost like in the war zone where it was cocaine and heroin pretty prevalent. But we also had another balance to that. We had a strong working class community as well. That a lot of young kids just follow that.
Yep.
So we can't forget about that blue collar worker that was in our neighborhood. Parents, most of them had 1 or 2 jobs. It was the people out there grinding, trying to do the right thing. So we had a balance. It may have been drug infested, but not to the degree where it's at now.
Okay, tell me what it was like to be a Walbrook warrior.
Go ahead, Bud. Drop it on him, Bud.
Oh my goodness, how many hours do we have? Oh my goodness.
Oh boy.
Well, let me say this. I think we had some of the best principals in the state of Maryland. Dr. Emery and Principal Billups. Yeah, those guys roamed the halls. They was checking out, coming into classrooms, just sitting in classrooms to see how things are going. They kept those hallways clean. Now, I'm not saying clean of lit. I'm talking about clean of us. It was a family atmosphere that you fed off each other. You just wanted to do right, And you got to shout out the basketball team. Derick being a little modest, but that basketball team that we had, it also solidified that unity that we had. It was a West Baltimore staple. Walbrook, the Junction, being a Walbrook warrior. You have absolutely no idea. And listen, you got to give a big shout out to Frank Crosby for keeping that Walbrook alumni strong and healthy. And we just feed off each other, and we just tell stories, good and bad, about the situations that we had. it's just really hard to describe. Maybe Derick can shed a better light on it, but it's special.
I don't. I mean, bro, you on it, man. You on it, bro. I'm gonna tell you, when I got to Walbrook, Donnie, true story. I was going with a girl, Vanessa. Vanessa lived down in Utah by Johnny Howard. Vanessa went to Douglas when it was time to go to school. Vanessa went to Douglas, and I went to Walbrook. When I say I broke up the first day I went to Walbrook, I broke up with her. I couldn't believe this place, man. The atrium, it was really, and baby bud, correct me if I'm wrong, but it had a college feel to it. It was very, with the clubs. Walbrook was an incredible place, man. We had the media. We had our own morning news there, man.
That courtyard. How about that?
The courtyard was incredible, man. The lunch periods were infamous. I mean, come on. Yeah, Doc, it was right? Yeah. Hey, but since you brought up Walbrook, I got to give my boy a shout out. This guy, Irvin Noah, got on work study with McDonald's, all right? Now, I'm trying to tell you, listen to George. When Chicken George, thank you, bro.
Yes.
Listen, when Irv went over there and took that, he took it at a time where that might not have been the coolest thing to do with the brothers that we were. But this is what I mean about how we were game changers, man. And man, we go over there. Of course, we get bugged. Come on, bug. We try to get a free piece of chicken every day. You know what I mean? Every day. But he navigated his friends. We never went over there and Bug was like, nah, man, get the hell out of it. It was almost like he taught us to help him respect his employment. Oddly enough, over time, we understood that, no, we got to support our homie. That's his job. You know what I mean? And it was just one of those weird dynamics. I never forget that kind of stuff, man. It was an incredible place, man. Don. It was just, and like
I didn't have the heart to ask Buggy for no free chicken.
Oh, let me tell you, man. Let me tell you, bro. Let me tell you, man. Yeah. And you know, Bug, man. Hey, look, man, I told y'all, man, y'all can't keep coming over here like that, Jack. and you know what happened, right? We just kept coming. Look, then we got whiffed that Bug gets. Look, then we got a whiff, Donnie, that he gets chicken at the end of the day at his shift. So we got word of that. So next, he seen us hanging out there waiting for him to get off.
With the dirty rice, too. Oh my God, not the dirty rice.
Oh, he couldn't escape us, man. Our boy had to connect. You know we was gonna run with that. Yeah, man. Always just a special group of guys, man. Some of the strongest, brothers I know, man, is y'all brothers because, and I shared, Don, we've talked. One of the things I love when I catch up with you guys is that, we all got our lives as fathers, husbands, professional, whatever we do in our professional careers. But I'm never more transparent or real when I'm around you guys because I know you guys know me for real. So I don't have to wear none of them hats. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah,
right.
Yeah, what's up, bro? Yeah. And I know Buggy know me. You know what I mean? I know he know me. He know my plight. He can appreciate my evolution. He can appreciate where I'm at in life. He know what I had to navigate to get to where I am. One of my great treasures that I take pride in is that I've been married for 25 years, man.
Praise the Lord.
And if you would have had me, that's it, man.
Proud of you.
Hey, and I ain't even saying clapping, but thank you. I ain't saying clap, bro. But guess what? If you'd have put me in the yearbook, who's most least likely to be married for 25 years, my face would be right up there with a smile.
Yeah, hey, I'm proud of you, man.
That's huge.
Oh, bro, huge. That's huge for me, Buggy. I tell you the story all the time. the best move I never wanted to make is when we brought this house down there, man. I tell Don that all the time. I mean, my wife, man, she was going over, she was working over there, commuting on the Monk train and all that stuff. So she met a girlfriend and looked at it properly. And I met her first time we rode over there, Buck. She said, "What you think, honey?" I said, "It's beautiful." What you want me to say? It's beautiful. Who in the hell is moving all the way over here? I'm not coming over here. You lost your mind. And my wife said the magic word because she know her husband. "Hey, babe, you can go to Baltimore whenever you want. I just want to raise a family over here." And I said, "What?" Now you got to think. I'm a younger me.
Yeah.
I say, "What? Oh, I can go whenever I want. What? Oh, we could go to settlement tomorrow."
So let's talk about
that
that.
lasted Buggy about over 30 days.
Let's talk about that. A lot of the folks where we grew up, they don't make it outside. They don't get past Mondawmin. Might not even make it to South Baltimore. How important is it to get out of one's 6-block radius?
You got, hey Donnie, you got to want it. You got to want that. Let me tell you a little bit about Easterwood. Easterwood, during the younger days, they got us out of our neighborhood. I mean, they took us to baseball games. They took us to museums and things of that nature. But you have to want to get out. I mean, listen to me. If you still live in the neighborhood, that's your choice at this point. And I'm not knocking it because if that's what you choose to be, that's the way you choose to be. But the thing is that just traveling outside of Baltimore was huge for me because I had that at a younger age. You got to remember when I was 18, 19, I was traveling all over the country doing training for Chicken George to end up in Atlanta.
You hit your mic. Hit it again. Your mic. Buggy, your mic. Your mic. There you go.
You muted, Bug. You muted. There you go. There you go. No, you back muted
now.
There
Yeah, can you hear me now?
There you go.
Yeah, so you got to remember, at 19, I was traveling the country, man, with a black-owned company that was showing me the way. So back at home, I had my dad in my ear, and I had Ted Holmes that owns Chicken George. Man, you got to remember, I traveled to Los Angeles, California, to open up restaurants. Oakland, California. I went down to Dallas, Texas, Philadelphia, Chicago, and I ended up in Atlanta for 3.5 years. So that was my growing experience to see something outside of Baltimore within that 6-block radius that you mentioned. And guess what? That made me to become a man at that point, man. That was my Army experience, my 4-year college experience. And I came back home and just never looked back. Not to turn away from my neighborhood. It's just that I just lived a different life. That's all. I still have love for everybody in that neighborhood because, listen, let's not get it twisted. Easterwood in that area made who I am today.
All right, so let me just get straight to the jugular. Both of you experienced trauma with your best friend. Buggy, you lost your best friend. Doug, your best friend went away.
Yeah, that was a major turning point. That was a major turning point in my life. I remember getting a phone call at work, and I was devastated because Daryl Motley and I we had some really good fun as kids growing up. Obviously, I played ball with Daryl, football and basketball. Just could never be past the 6th man after him because he was that talented. So I was the 6th man coming off the bench playing with Daryl Motley. He was a year older than I. So when that age group went on to the next age group, I was happy because I got to start and be the star for a change. But him and I did some things, I'm not proud of. But guess what? It helped me grow up, though. It was devastating, man. It was devastating not only to me. It was devastating to the community as a whole, because he was a leader in that neighborhood and had nothing but upside potential if he was just got it the right way. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
blessed. I'm gonna be honest with you. I am truly
Mm-hmm.
a blessed man to be able to make the choices that I made at a young age, man. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, yeah, I think it goes back to that sense of community when, my best friend, they was involved in an incident that affected our community as well, because we knew everybody that was involved, even the individual that was offended, that was killed, that lost their life in this. So it was bizarre from the standpoint that was the first time where my emotions, I can honestly say, were all over the place, man. It was just like Irv said, it was devastating. To know on a very personal and intimate level, a lot of the guys that was involved in it, um, to hear my mother even tell stories, my grandmother tell stories about Dr. Phillips and what he meant to the community back then, doing house calls, and you know what I mean. It was devastating, but at the same token, I remember it was a lot going on back then, because I remember I had to convince my parents. Unlike I never thought I had to convince my parents. I remember we've talked about that in the later years, my brothers, where my parents, because they were still looking for a couple people. If you remember that back then, it was when it started unfolding. And of course, if you say a certain name, just like Buggy said, back then at a certain time, you say Daryl Motley, you can say, well, it was Buggy. You know what I mean? It just kind of went together.
Absolutely,
So I was I was
absolutely.
I was pulled into it just because of the association, to the point where my parents was adamant and sitting in front of me saying, son, you have to tell us the truth so we can get you the help you need at this point. It, everything what's happening happened, but we got to get you the help you need. And we only can do that by you being honest. So it took some time for the convincing of my own parents going through that ordeal. So I'll never forget it. But yeah, but then my dad, when it unfolded, I'll never forget the conversation my dad had with me. And at that point, he set me up to move forward. He said, first of all, it's not your place to judge. Your friend will get the consequences that whatever's due for that. What is your responsibility is be his friend, no matter what.
Wow.
And my dad told me that he's a young man, Greg, going the scenario, and he need that youth connected to his life. Some kind of way he gotta have that, or he's gonna be lost. So you got, and this was my dad telling me this. So me and Bug were just talking, a couple weeks ago, and I was telling that I would like to think, that I'm unique and did something special, but that's not true, because we all have prayed
That's right.
for each other and pulled for each other. And some of us had to be front and center in situations more than others. But you're representing us all, because we all come from the same place. And that's what I was sharing with Bug, because he was like, bro, thank you, good friend. I was like, Bug, that ain't, listen, man, I would like to take the credit like this is some grand scheme that Derick had, but that wasn't even what it's about. It was about that was what was set in
Yeah,
stone in my head by my parents. When that happened, my dad said, now you show your mettle. You know what I mean? Show your mettle, and don't ever let me find out that you didn't. So that set the stage for me to keep that communication open and to make sure, and I didn't communicate in a manner where I felt bad, or it was like a feel sorry for you type thing. It was
Wow.
always, you're my friend. You're my
Wow. You
friend.
never told me
You
about
made
that, Derek.
you made a decision, and that's not for me to judge. Your consequences are what they are. You know what I mean? So I've always told you that, Don. I've never been on this campaign, poor you, poor me. No, there was decisions made. And what
Okay.
I did, go ahead, and what I did back then, what I love about what Tubby did back then, especially when my kids were little, when I had my sons, I took them down to Jessup. I took them down there to see him and said, but for a decision, there go your father. If you can grasp that, if you can grasp this, my sons,
Right.
you're looking at me.
Hey.
You're looking at me.
Yeah.
Okay? I just want you to understand that you're looking at me. And I know this guy, I know his parents, I know how he was raised, I know what the stock he come from. So don't think when we walk in this place that is all bad guys in here. There's some guys that just had bad moments in their life. And they got to live with the consequences. So that helped me teach them early on about understanding who you're around. You can't be in denial about certain friends of your tendencies. It's just your responsibility. It's not theirs.
Okay,
So,
I got a basketball question for you. We need the 5 greatest players from West Baltimore to go to East Baltimore under the dome. Who you picking?
oh wow. Wow, dude. Wow. I don't want to make sure I ain't knocking no history here because that's a tough one, dude. I'm gonna tell you. You know one of them is gonna be James Bruce.
Let me get my pen. James Bruce
Douglas. I know Irv know what I'm talking. I'll tell you, Bruce. Listen, man. Bruce was listen, man. Bruce was like James Harden in high school before there was James Harden. He was just dropping up 30 a night. He was the only thing they had, but Bruce was a bad man, boy. I used to love to watch this guy play.
Yeah.
And he was from down the bottom, from Christmas Addicts, down Pennsylvania Avenue.
Robert C. Marshall, Briscoe.
Yep. So I'm gonna go one, then I'm gonna let Bud go one. I think we're gonna do it like that.
All right, Bud, give me one. Give me one. Top 5 to go to East Baltimore under the dome.
I'm gonna go Booby James.
Now, Booby was a Walbrook Warrior.
How you feel about that, Derick?
Hey, I can't. You know what?
No.
You know what, Bud? It's one of those where you can't. I mean, who can say you wrong? Nobody can argue that.
Yeah.
That's why I say let's go one, because I'm curious to hear your names because you can't remember everybody. That's why I say I'm curious to hear what you say. But I buy that. Booby, I'm telling you, man, these was great high school players.
Okay,
now,
I'm gonna put this out there.
No, listen, Donnie, for me, the question really is, you said go to East Baltimore and play in the dome. So I'm taking dogs with me over there. See, you got to take dogs.
With Tony Bunch. Now, I never met this guy that I know of. Would Tony Bunch make the team?
No.
Okay.
That's my man. Love him to death. But no. Love Tony Bunch, man. No way. No way. I'm gonna tell you. So Bud went with Booby. I'm gonna tell you who I go with. I'm gonna go with my little brother. I'm gonna go with Mouse.
Mouse boy.
Now, let me tell you why. See, because you gotta take dogs with you if you're going to East. Let me tell you, we got a true story. We was down at Herman Johnson, Coach Herman funeral. And me, Bay, all us, we got to talk like we always do, Joan each other. And Bay said something that was so true. He said, look, man, Rudy came after y'all. So Rudy ain't really had a competition that y'all had in high school. He just didn't. You know what I mean? He was like, but I'll never forget when Rudy and them had to play Mousy and Dep Walbrook. And I was like, this is his barometer right here to let me know if he's a dog. And Bay said, and Mouse destroyed him. I said, God. And I remember that game. And I remember going to that game, Donnie. And when you talk about going to East Baltimore, you gotta take dogs, dude. Dogs. Dude who going over there and like, we ain't losing. Because if you take some dudes that's just all right, they gonna get punked over there, man.
Is it true that the cats in East Baltimore, after a game, they would go back to the court, go back to Lafayette, go back to the dome, and play another 3-4 hours? In other words, they play ball all day long, all day, every day.
But you got to remember, in fairness to West Baltimore, the one thing that East Baltimore did that it almost was impossible for us to do, you really only had two destinations in East Baltimore. You was going to Dunbar, Lake Clifton. If you were a baller in East Baltimore, you were at Dunbar first, and Lake Clifton was 1A. In West Baltimore, we got the penalty of being spread out. So Buggy could ball, but he would have to go to Southwest. I would have to go to Dunbar. James Bruce got to go to Douglas. So we never had, and Walbrook should have been that for East Baltimore. Walbrook should have been with, and we almost was there, but not quite. Walbrook should have been with Dunbar is the East Baltimore. Because anybody who was anybody, the top baller we should have had them all in one place.
But West Baltimore had more options.
Oh, we had better players across the board. No question about it. Across the board, yes. I'm telling you, man.
You had Carver in the mix, too.
That's what I'm saying, bro. That's what I'm saying. I mean, you would have like that guy down Carver. You would have that guy up Douglas. You have that guy up Southwest. But if you had those guys where we had the top 7, 8 jokers in West Baltimore, one place, we beat Dunbar. We beat them. We couldn't beat them because they did how you supposed to do it. They stayed together and they played together, even in the summer. So by the time when high school came, they knew each other. When we got back to high school, we had to refamiliarize ourselves with each other because he played with over East Bar. I played with Bentlow. He played with Lyndhurst. He played with somebody and some. You know what I'm saying? So it's very difficult, Don, because there's a great history in West Baltimore. Some I'm sure we forget because I even like the old guys. That's why I went like James Bruce. I remember Derwin Lilly. I mean, he Walbrook Warrior. These were some bad dudes, man.
What was the summer league you played in DC? You tell me about the summer league. One in DC and one in New York.
Oh man, what was that joint called? The Continental. What was that called? The Continental. Oh man, Don.
It's gonna come back to you. We just talked about
come back to me, but the one in New York, the Rucker League had a tournament every summer where Baltimore, Philly, New York, you know what I mean, like the top cities on the East Coast will go up to Rucker. And that's when I realized that, dude, when I went to Rucker and we played that summer, when I tell you some of the baddest jokers on the face of this earth that played basketball, and if you ever go back to a Michael Jordan quote he made years ago, they asked him who's the best player he ever played against, he ever seen. He said the best player I ever seen ain't make it to the NBA. He said the best player I ever seen, he ain't even make it to the NBA, and that's the truth. The best dudes in the world you probably ain't even never seen, Don. And we got some bad dudes on display in the league. But when I went to New York, man, it was incredible, man. It was incredible. I was like, man, these dudes supposed to be in the league.
Okay, here come the $1 million question. 2 seconds on the buzzer. Baddest player to ever come out of Baltimore.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
You knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. So let me throw one name up in the air. Skip Wise.
He could have been. He could have been.
Well, yeah.
He could have been, Donnie. He wasn't, but he could have been. I'm going to have to go with wow, dude. Wow.
The Skip looked up to somebody, too. We were talking about that.
Yeah, we was. Yeah.
The brother that got stabbed in the chest.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Sam Cassell.
That's not a bad pick at all.
Sam Cassell.
That's not a bad pick at all. Because I was leaning Sam and Muggs because what Muggs did for the game. Muggs changed the game, man. Muggs changed the NBA.
Whoa.
In his own way. I'm trying to tell you, man. Yeah. He opened the door for them dudes, man. Think about how the league became 6 foot and under.
Spud Webb.
Spud Webb.
Yeah.
People think, man, have you ever seen Allen Iverson? Allen Iverson might be the baddest 6 foot under dude to ever play basketball to me. Allen Iverson.
That's about right.
Man.
That's about right.
Dude, I've seen this dude in person, met him, and what blew me away was how big he wasn't. This guy was not a big, he wasn't tall like I expect him to be, really tall.
He had that killer instinct.
He was a baller, dude. And that's what I mean about, if you're going to take some dudes with you, take some dudes with you. Yeah, take some dudes with you, man. And he's probably arguably he's my most likable player. Other than Magic Johnson. After Magic Johnson, it's Allen Iverson for me.
All right. Now, one more thing we need. The best college basketball coach.
Oh,
oh my goodness, are you kidding me?
I gotta go with I don't know, man. That's tough, but I'm gonna go with Dean, man. I gotta give Dean the edge, man. Dean Smith. Plus, you gotta remember he did some stuff.
I'm gonna stay
a little reading up on.
I'm gonna stay.
He did some
with Michael.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay in the ACC and go with Coach.
Yeah. Now, John Thompson, knowing Donnie, let me give John Thompson some love, because once again, he was a game changer in the game of collegiate sports. So I'm gonna give Coach John a shout out just because of what his influence, what he meant to the game. What he took risk, man. He
how many cats got stuck up for them Georgetown starter jackets?
Do I?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I remember my mother wouldn't let us get one, because when the kid, Frankie, little brother, got killed down Highland Park for the it ain't happening.
Hey guys, I gotta take this call. I gotta jump off.
All right,
hey brother, love you.
Them starter jackets. Them starter jackets. Can't hear you, D. I don't know what happened. Can't hear you. I don't know what happened. It got messed up when Buggy went. Okay, but we coming back tomorrow, okay? We're gonna circle back up tomorrow, okay? Much love, baby boy. You've been watching BlackUSA.News Morning Show. My name's Donnie Glover, talking with Derick Boyd and also Irvin Noah. We call him Buggy. Thank you to all the people. Lex, thanks for tuning in. Leroy, Angela. We'll be back tomorrow. Actually, 7 p.m. tonight. My name's Donnie Glover, and stay tuned. Thank you for your support.